My dog came home without his collar and led me straight to my neighbor's garage. Rex has never once come home without his collar. Not in 6 years. He's a big, dumb, loyal golden retriever who eats socks and barks at his own reflection, and the one thing he has never done is lose that collar. It has his name tag, his rabies tag, and a little bone-shaped charm my daughter picked out for him the Christmas before she went to college. That collar stays on. So when he scratched at the back door Saturday afternoon with nothing around his neck, I didn't think, oh, the collar must have slipped off. I thought something is wrong. He was panting harder than usual. Dirt on his paws, a small scratch along his left ear I hadn't seen before. He'd been in the backyard the whole morning. Our yard is fully fenced, and I'd checked the gate myself before I let him out. So the first question was how he even got out. The second question was why he wouldn't stop whining. He ate his water bowl dry, let me check the scratch, and then immediately walked back to the door and looked at me. I opened it. He went straight to the far left corner of the fence and sat down, staring at me like I was an idiot for not understanding. One of the fence boards was popped out at the bottom, just enough for a 60-pound dog to squeeze through. I crouched down and looked closer. The screws hadn't stripped. They'd been backed out deliberately. I stood there for a second holding a fence board, trying to make sense of that. Rex squeezed back through the gap before I could stop him. I followed him. He didn't run. He walked like he had somewhere specific to be, cutting across the open strip of grass behind the houses and heading straight toward the garage at the back of my neighbor Walt's property. Walt is 60-something, retired, keeps to himself. We wave when we get the mail. That's the relationship. His garage sits separate from his house, back near the property line, and I had never had a single reason to pay attention to it before that moment. Rex sat down in front of the garage's side door and looked at me. That's when I heard it. A sound coming from inside. Low. Rhythmic. And then I realized it wasn't a sound. It was a voice, muffled by the door, but definitely a voice. My mouth went dry. I tried the side door. Locked. I banged on it. Hello? Is someone in there? The muffled sound got louder. I pulled out my phone and called 911. Told them I could hear someone inside my neighbor's locked garage making sounds like they were trying to call out. The dispatcher told me to stay on the line and not to enter the building. I didn't enter the building. I stood there with my hand flat against that door listening to that muffled voice while Rex sat at my feet, completely still. Like even he understood this was serious. It took 7 minutes for the first unit to arrive. It felt like 40. 2 officers went around the back of the garage, while a third knocked on Walt's front door. A fourth told me to step back behind the property line. I didn't argue. Walt answered the front door. I watched him talk to the officer from across the yard, watched his body language shift from confused to alarmed. Then he was handing over keys, and an officer was jogging back toward the garage. The side door opened. A woman walked out. She was maybe 30, squinting against the daylight, her wrists bound in front of her with zip ties. She was wearing the same clothes she'd apparently been in for 2 days. She couldn't walk straight at first, leaning against the doorframe before one of the officers got to her. Walt wasn't the one who took her. Walt didn't even know she was there. What came out over the next hour? Walt's adult nephew had been staying with him for 3 weeks, using the detached garage as a workspace. Walt gave him a key and largely left him alone. The nephew had a warrant out in another state and had grabbed this woman 2 days earlier over a money dispute. He'd been keeping her in the garage while Walt sat 60 feet away watching television, completely unaware. The nephew wasn't on the property when the police arrived. He was picked up 4 hours later at a gas station 2 towns over. The woman had been banging on the walls and screaming for 2 days, in a detached garage set back from the road, with one small high window facing the back fence line. Nobody heard her. Nobody except Rex. The scratch on his ear was from the fence board when he squeezed back through to get me. They found his collar inside the garage. She'd grabbed it when he somehow got close enough, tied it around one of the pipes near the floor, hoping someone would come looking for him. A woman who had been locked in a garage for 2 days still had enough presence of mind to think that one through. Walt replaced my fence board the following week. He knocked on my door, handed me the collar, and didn't say anything for a moment. Then he said, "Smart dog." I looked down at Rex, sitting next to my leg. "Yeah," I said. "He really is."